Hello, this is William Broen from willsherbaladventures.com. I'm in one of my favorite botanical areas, which is Big Morongo Preserve, which is between Palm Springs and Yucca Valley. So I'm going to talk about several different plants here, and I'm still learning how to do this whole video thing, so bear with me. But this is really a cool area. This is like a sort of a desert wetlands area, or what they would call an oasis. And a lot of what I like to talk about is why it's so important to preserve wetlands. What's really interesting is we have some stinging nettle here. I'm going to show you guys. Quick here. You might notice the stinging hairs on the stems, and there's some also on the underside of the leaves. See if I can get close to it here without getting stung. But this is growing right by the wetlands area. This is one of those plants where it's like using kind of an overly used marketing term here, it's like a superfood. It's chock full of nutrients. There's a lot of amino acids in the seeds, actually. There's a lot of flavonoids in the whole plant, particularly in the leaves. And the leaves and the root both have anti-inflammatory properties. They've been used for all types of inflammation for a long time. What's really interesting is that if I was to grab the nettles, like I'm not quite going to do, I would get stung. The nettles have little tiny stinging hairs that are like sort of like hypodermic needles that would inject formic acid into you. That's not fun. So it's kind of the same stuff that's in ant stings. So you will get stung if you grab it, like I almost did, but I didn't do it. So what's interesting though is that people actually used to whip themselves or other people with stinging nettles. Not what you think. Well, maybe that too, I don't know. And people still do. But it's used as a counter irritant for rheumatism. So that's another very interesting use for stinging nettles. But stinging nettles around the world have also been used for many, many, many other things. They've been traditionally and currently used for allergies, all types of inflammatory issues, and also as a nutrient-rich herb. Nettles are very alkaline. This is actually a very alkaline region where it grows. Very mineral-rich soil here. Nettles pick up a lot of the minerals, and we take advantage of that. It's kind of a theme I have with a lot of these herb walk videos. We often take advantage of a plant survival mechanism. So nettles have lots and lots of minerals, including fairly large amounts of magnesium, potassium, silica even, and other minerals. Nettles also, what am I forgetting? Well, I'm probably forgetting a lot of stuff. Nettles are used for many, many, many different conditions, and they still are today, and they've been used that way all over the world. So we do have native varieties of nettles here. We also have invasive varieties of nettles. For people that like to forage, I encourage using the invasive varieties rather than the native varieties, or you can grow the native varieties in your yard. Or if you have to wild harvest the native varieties for whatever reason, to just take off the top part of it, and it's better to do it earlier in the year too. Nettles are very high in chlorophyll, and I forgot to mention high in absorbable iron. So lots and lots of good stuff. They're all in the Urtica genus, and I'm actually not sure which species this is, but they are in the genus Urtica. This is probably Urtica dioica, but I'm going to say I'm 90% sure of that because I don't have a key with me. So I'm going to kind of continue here. Oh, here we go. So right down here, I'm going to hopefully point down at it. You can kind of see it down there. That plant with the really big leaves is Yerba Mansa, or Anemopsis californica. I'm going to try to find some a little closer to the trail so I don't have to get down into the boggy area to talk about it. So I will talk, there's a lot of it here, so I will talk about it a little bit later, and I'm going to let some people pass. But the thing about Yerba Mansa, before I point it out again, is that it's one of those plants that almost always grows in boggy or kind of stagnant water, near stagnant water, mostly wetlands. So one of the many reasons to preserve wetlands is there's a lot of plants that really only grow in wetlands. And Yerba Mansa is one that usually grows in wetlands. And I'm going to let some people pass, so I'm not slowing them down. And then we'll talk about a few more plants. Some of these big trees here are cottonwoods. The cottonwoods grow pretty tall here, and they are used traditionally, sort of like the willow bark. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. They have similar compounds as willow, like the salicylic acid, and the cottonwood bark has been traditionally used for pain relief. Also, the buds have been used too. And actually, speaking of willow, there are some types of willows here too. The willows, like this one right here, is a type of willow. Willows and cottonwoods tend to grow right near water. They don't really do well where there isn't water, at least just a little bit underground. And I was hoping I'd see a little more Yerba Mansa, but I'm not seeing it quite yet. But I know that I will soon because it is everywhere. This is the part where I probably ask if anyone has any questions about any. Oh, here we go. So here we have, you kind of see where the flowers dried out here, and those big leaves there. I hope I'm pointing it the right way, but that's Yerba Mansa or Anamopsis, which grows all over the place here. And again, one of the many reasons to preserve wetlands habitats, Yerba Mansa has a long history of medicinal use actually throughout the desert Southwest. The root is the part that's usually used. Here's some more of it. Go down just a little bit here. Kind of see where the large leaves are here. The root's the part that's usually used. The leaf has some of the similar compounds or constituents, and the root is very warming. Oh, here's some more of it. Here's a whole bunch of it right there. The root's very warming. It's used a lot for any kind of stagnant or cold condition to help to get things going, kind of warm things up a bit. It's similar to other warming herbs like cayenne or ginger. And it's good for any kind of stuck, stagnant condition. Very interesting because Yerba Mansa grows in sort of really stagnant areas where there's a lot of stagnant water. And it's used to relieve stagnant conditions in the body, whether it's poor circulation, boggy mucus, which is a really common traditional use of Yerba Mansa to deal with boggy mucus, congestion, either in the lungs or the sinuses. Also, it's traditionally used for poorly healing wounds. It's a common traditional use of Yerba Mansa. It's even used traditionally for puncture wounds. A lot of people aren't aware of it now, but some herbalists do use it, and some people that are still familiar with traditional uses of it still use it too. So it does have some current use as well as traditional use, but like a lot of herbs, a lot of people have forgotten about them. It's partly why I'm doing this, to help myself and others reestablish a connection with the natural world and how it heals us. So that plant is actually the only plant in the lizard tail family that grows in California. And again, it's not rare per se, but it's very restricted to particular habitats. Here we have some more of it. All over the place here. Again, it's these big leaves we're seeing. If I was to rub the leaves or the root, it has a real kind of pungent, peppery aroma. And it tastes very intense, actually, and it's kind of got a pungent, almost peppery kind of taste. That might be not the best description of it, but it's a very, very pungent taste if you taste the root or the leaf. You don't notice it right now because it's October, but in the late spring and summer, it'd be a really nice, prominent white flower. Grows at the end of one stalk that grows up from the center of the plant. So that is Yerba Mansa. And I'm excited to see what plant is going to come next. And I'm sure you are too. If you're an herb nerd like myself, you're probably at the edge of your seat. And even though I come here a lot, I see new stuff all the time. I mean, stuff that I didn't even notice before. Oh, here's another that here. More Yerba Mansa. Again, it's Anamopsis californica, if anyone is getting the Latin names. Oh, here's some more of it. Here you see it kind of with the dried up flower heads. Nice little patch of it there. As I was mentioning, it's all over the place here. Very, very common. Very common. There's a ton of plants that grow this way. And I will talk about those on other videos, because otherwise this video will take forever and people with short attention spans might get bored. But among other plants, there is creosote bush, which herbalists call chaparral. Hopefully I'll see some. It's kind of a ways up this trail, but that's a very interesting plant because it contains really strong antioxidants. A lot of these plants do because they have to survive in a hot, dry environment. And the creosote bush lives a very long time. In order to survive a very long time, it has no choice but to produce really amazing antioxidants that, of course, we take advantage of. The resins are so strong. This is debated, but some people will recommend not doing too much or too much long term because the resins might, I'm using the word might here, be tough on the liver and kidneys. And because even though that's very hotly debated, because some people do say that that is a possible side effect, I feel responsible to mention it here. Of course, creosote bush has been used for thousands of years, though, throughout the Southwest. I'm really debating whether to go up this little trail or not, but I'm not going to. So there's creosote bush up there. There's Yerba Santa, which I will talk about Yerba Santa towards the end of this video because it's on this trail too. There is, what else? There is different types of cactus. There's cholla and prickly pear. There's chia. Chia is actually a type of sage, and we do have a native variety here. There is a plant called Mormon tea. It's a native variety of ephedra. It's a little different from the Asian variety, but again, these are all plants I'm going to talk about in future videos. For now, we can stay in this trail. And what else is there? Oh, there's a wolfberry. Wolfberries are very similar to other wolfberries that grow in Asia. That kind of trendy right now in the natural foods community, called goji berry. That's actually a type of wolfberry, or lycium. Those also have to produce lots of antioxidants to survive in the environment they grow in. So another one of many examples of how we take advantage of the survival mechanisms of plants. Is this a beautiful place or what? This is in the desert, by the way. It's a desert oasis. There's lots of animals here. I actually saw 3 deer earlier. There are lots of mountain lion sightings here. Haven't seen one of those yet. They might be watching me, you never know. There's bighorn sheep around here. This is a great area. Lots and lots of birds. I had a really interesting Disney princess moment one time when I was just sitting on a bench. And all these birds were surrounding me. I'm like, is this the point where I burst into song? I don't know. Anyways. Okay, enough about me. Let's see what other plants we can find. Oh, this is kind of a Yerba Mansa walk, I guess, but look at this big, huge patch of Yerba Mansa. One thing I want to mention is that there are lots of plants that are Yerba something. Yerba means herb in Spanish. So a lot of plants that are in areas where there's Spanish influence are Yerba something. So don't confuse these plants. There's Yerba Mansa, Yerba Santa, Yerba Mate, all kinds of Yerba Buena. Most of them are not related to each other, except the name. So this is a common source of confusion, as well as the creosote bush confusion, because a lot of herbalists call creosote bush chaparral. Chaparral refers to a ecosystem that's actually separate from this desert ecosystem that we're in. And that confuses lots of people. And I don't mind explaining the difference, but this comes up a lot. Oh, where am I? A lot of clematis here. It's actually another interesting thing. This is a little off the herb subject, but you might have noticed a few palm trees here. Most of the palm trees you see, I'd say like 99% of the palm trees you see around Los Angeles are not native. But California does have a native palm tree, which is the California fan palm. Oh, why am I forgetting the Latin name? Oh, something like California Washingtonia. I could be totally wrong. Anyways, we have one native palm tree, and it does grow here in the desert. It grows around Palm Springs, which was probably named for that. And it also grows, is that mugwort? It also grows here. And I might be looking at mugwort, but I don't know. And they don't like me coming off the boardwalk here. I'll just show you. Right there, a really tall one. I think it's mugwort. Either way, I'm going to talk more about that in another walk too. But mugwort is another plant that has tons and tons and tons of traditional and modern uses throughout the world. And we do have a native variety here in California that's surprisingly called California mugwort. I know, bad joke here. So, this thing about the herb walk, so there's usually a little bit of space between plants, and I can always use that downtime to tell dumb jokes and stuff like that. Here's some cottonwood leaves, just to show you. Very common plant here. And some very tall cottonwood trees. Look at that. Majestic or what? Okay, so we are now going to a different region. Here we go. This is my favorite medicinal plant ever. So you notice the underside of the leaves are lighter than the top side. Leaves are a bit serrated. There's a related plant called poodle dog bush. You don't want to mistake them. Poodle dog bush tends to have a lot of branches going right from the same base. This one is a little more complicated. It has a lot of side branches and stuff. Also, the leaves are more serrated. Very intricate vein structure on the back. And unlike poodle dog bush, you can touch it, you can use it medicinally and everything. So I'm going to talk a lot about Yerba Santa because it is my favorite medicinal plant, and this is my favorite species of my favorite medicinal plant. They are all in the genus Areodictian, I'll spell it. Eriodictyon. This one is Eriodictyon trichocalyx. It's one of the ones that have more resinous leaves. See? And it's one that has a long history of traditional use. It grows often in higher but drier regions. Well, I shouldn't say higher, kind of, altitudes between usually 1,500 and 7,000 feet in drier areas in Southern California down into Mexico. There's a lot of it in the San Gabriel Mountains, in the San Bernardino Mountains. You'll find a lot in the mountains above San Diego, and it even goes down into Baja California. And you'll find some in these desert mountains here too. So Yerba Santa is, according to many sources, one of the most commonly used traditional plants of California. These are all the different species of it. There's a woolly leaf variety that also grows around Los Angeles. There's other more resinous varieties like Eriodictyon californicum that grows in Northern California. There's a narrow leaf variety, Eriodictyon angustifolium, that grows in Arizona and Nevada and a little bit of Utah. And there's a few rare ones too. So Yerba Santa has several major uses. First of all, like a lot of these desert or dry weather plants, this grows in the desert and chaparral and pinyon juniper forest regions, but generally in really dry climates, and it has to survive, so it is rich in antioxidants. It's very rich in flavonoids, many of which have a lot of antioxidant properties, and essential oils, ditto. A lot of essential oils, a lot of flavonoids. It does a lot of things at once. It also has tannins, so it's drying. It's used a lot for congestion, just like the Yerba Mansa, which again is not related, but it has another Yerba in the name. Used a lot for congestion of the sinuses and the lungs. I've used it that way myself. I find it quite effective either as a tea or a tincture. I tend to do more of a fresh plant tincture or just recently dried. Some herbalists feel differently. Best time to harvest it is the summer. Don't harvest it from big Morongo Preserve. They will ticket you. And if you do ever harvest it, don't destroy the plant. You can pick a few leaves off and not destroy the plant. It's actually pretty hardy. Or you can grow it yourself. That's a really good idea. Growing native plants is a win-win. So, here I'm saying it's okay. It's drying, and it is also anti-inflammatory. It's been traditionally used for all types of inflammatory conditions, including allergies and arthritis. Not making any claims here, but these are some of the traditional uses. Also, it's traditionally used for asthma. People even smoked it for asthma. Some still do. I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but when the resins and oils and stuff get into the lungs, they seem to have an effect there through smoking it. It's a very, very smooth smoke. I've smoked it too. Also, it has a lot of antimicrobial oils and resins, and this is also part of its defense mechanism. A lot of plants will produce antimicrobial compounds to protect themselves from damage. This is amazing. Look at that. I'm immersed in my favorite herb here. So many uses. So it's also traditionally used for bronchitis, for sinusitis, for even gastritis, even digestive system infections. It's some people have used it for UTIs. I don't know how effective it is. It's also used as a wash for skin sores. So this plant has been used for many, many things. Something else came as a surprise to me. Very recently, there was some studies by the Salk Institute. I have to kind of look in the details more, but apparently there's some evidence that one of the flavonoids in Yerba Santa can be useful for Alzheimer's. This is very preliminary research, and again, not making any claims, but you can look up Salk Institute, Yerba Santa, and you'll find the details on that. That's kind of surprising because it's not really a traditional use of Yerba Santa, but the theory is that because these flavonoids are used for other types of inflammation, that maybe that's why it might be useful for that. I don't know. If anyone finds anything ever that's useful for that kind of thing, it's such an awful thing that some people have to go through. You never know. So, gosh, I could go forever about Yerba Santa. It's just an amazing plant. Pretty much all of the first people in California and some adjacent states have used it. Used by many different tribes. Some of the tribes in Northern California actually called it bear medicine. And as a bear-like person myself, I seem to be drawn to that kind of stuff. Apparently bears would go right to the Yerba Santa when they were exhibiting signs of illness, just like other herbs like Osha, which is also called bear medicine in Colorado. So it was used a lot by different tribes in California. When the Spanish came over, they were so impressed with it, they gave it saintly status. The name Yerba Santa basically means saintly or holy herb. And then even the American doctors were using it for a while. It was even in the US pharmacopoeia, like a lot of herbs were, until around the 20s to the 40s when, well, I could go into it, but a lot of herbs were kicked out of the US pharmacopoeia. Not that they're not any good, but there was a lot of reasons that happened. But this plant does have a very long history of traditional use. And you go to health food stores today and you'll find it in a lot of respiratory formulas. It's in the planetary formulas, Old Indian cough syrup. It's in Wish Gardens, deep lung formula, and Kick-Ass Immune, and some other formulas. And by the way, I do sometimes do herb walks for Wish Gardens, so you can look out for those. And I'm very honored to do that. I like that company. Very, very ethical people. And it's in a lot of other formulas too. Rainbow Light's Counterattack. It's in some of the herb farm formulas like the Lung Expector. And it's in a lot of different respiratory formulas. So again, I could talk about this forever. So this is partially a Yerba Santa video. Again, I'm here at Big Morongo Preserve, but I'm going to talk about the mesquite. Now, I just got a book about recipes with mesquite, so I'm going to do a whole video on mesquite eventually. And this is a plant I don't know as much about as I'd like, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. The mesquite has edible pods. The actual pod itself is very hard. People would smash it first, and then there's like powder around the pod that you can just eat right there. If you open up a seed pod, you can just have the powder right then. This is a honey mesquite, which actually tastes sweeter than other varieties of mesquite. And there's a whole forest of it here. You just want to make sure if you're getting close to mesquite that you don't, see, got the thorn, you don't accidentally come in contact with the thorns. That wouldn't be a good thing. The leaves are very astringent. They've also been used medicinally. Apparently they were used as an eye wash, as a wheat tea. And like a lot of tree resin, the resin of the mesquite protects the tree and has been used as an antimicrobial resin. You didn't hear that small burp I did you? That's really tacky. I'll try to edit it out. If not, it's kind of a fun addition to the video, I guess. It looks like there was a fire here. It looks like a lot of the trees have survived. There's the black marks on the bark here. So I'm in a mesquite forest. This is really cool. Mesquite trees can grow pretty tall. Again, mesquite trees are a major food source in desert regions. They're in the pea family. Oh, and I love making fun of trends in the natural products industry. Whoever says that legumes, plants in the pea family, aren't quote unquote paleo is on drugs. There are many legumes that have been eaten going back thousands of years, including these mesquite pods. So anyone who says that mesquite or legumes are not part of a early hunter-gatherer diet is on serious drugs. And I like to make fun of parts of the paleo diet as well as certain multi-level marketed products like thieves oil. Now a lot of people are going to hate me, but I don't care because I'm all about the truth. And yeah, while I'm kind of walking, the reason I debunk thieves oil, it's a It's a blend of oils. It's a nice blend of oils, actually. It's got, definitely has antimicrobial properties and such. But the idea, the myth that goes around, is that it was used by thieves in the 1400s against the bubonic plague and other such maladies. One problem with that. One of the oils in there is eucalyptus oil. Eucalyptus oil, according to any evidence whatsoever, did not exist in Europe in the 1400s. Thank you. I just debunked thieves' law. So, I think a lot of people might be mad at me if they see that, but I don't really care. Get some thumbs down in this video, probably. But please give me a thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button. And subscribe. Is this it? You know what I think? I think this is about it. Because I'm not going to the upper part where I talk about all of the drier area herbs that I mentioned before. But I can do that later. And again, I'm still getting used to doing this video thing. I don't have a selfie stick. I'm actually using my iPhone 8. So please bear with me on my first videos. I'm definitely going to work on improving the flow of these in the future. And please check out my website. It's willsherbaladventures.com. WILLSHERBALADVENTURES, all one word, .com. So it's willsherbaladventures.com. Notice how the resins are kind of glowing in sunlight here a little bit. This is some more Yerba Santa. Again, my favorite herb in the universe. And some more Yerba Santa. Can't get enough of Yerba Santa. Look at all that. And here's me with Yerba Santa. And my favorite herb and I are going to say goodbye. You can also support my efforts since I'm doing more of these virtual herb walks as opposed to actual herb walks because of the whole COVID situation. Most parks and such places don't want me to either do walks with people right now, or they want me to limit it to small groups. So if you want to support this effort, you can always PayPal me. PayPal me at William Bruin. I think it's William.Bruin. I'll make a comment for the exact PayPal. But you don't have to PayPal me. You can just subscribe, enjoy the videos. That's totally fine too. So thank you so much for watching this video all the way through, if you've actually done that. And I will post many more videos all about wild, medicinal, and edible plants. One thing I do want to mention though is always be sure that you're not mistaking an edible or medicinal plant for a poisonous plant, because some plants, like the Yerba Santa, even have poisonous lookalikes. And always make sure that you're either growing the plant yourself, which I recommend, or if you do want to collect anything from the wild, that you ask the agency that is responsible for that place. They usually won't let you do it, but sometimes they'll give you a collector's permit if it's a very common plant, or if it's an invasive plant, like a non-native invasive plant, which we'll talk about a lot of those too. Sometimes they might even help you collect them. And also, I am not a doctor, and even if I was, nothing I'm saying is meant to be taken as a claim or a prescription. So it's always good to do your own research from reputable sources, not just people overhyping their products. And having said all that, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, please like it. And I will be working on making the flow of these videos a little better. And thanks again. Enjoy the wonderful natural world.